Welcome back, family. This has been Zura's Folktales. Before we start this amazing story, please kindly subscribe and turn on the bell icon. This will help us be able to bring you more stories quickly and sweetly. Now enjoy this story. The scream was brief, swallowed by the hum of early morning traffic, but Bidemi heard it. He had been bending over, picking a discarded plastic bottle near the gutter, when his head snapped up. Just across the road, a black SUV had stopped abruptly, its back door flung open. Inside, he caught a glimpse of a young woman struggling, her expensive-looking pink dress bunched up as she kicked wildly. The girl was being dragged into the car. Bidemi's heart pounded. He didn't think. He moved. Ignoring the sharp horn blasts from oncoming vehicles, he darted across the road, weaving between cars. His bare feet slapped against the hot tar, his sack of collected plastics forgotten. As he reached the car, one of the men turned, a scar running from his forehead to his chin. "Who be this one?" "Oya clear," the man barked. Bidemi didn't clear. His body moved before his mind could catch up. He swung at the man, his fist connecting with his jaw. The man staggered, caught off guard. The other kidnapper, still holding onto the struggling girl, let go for a split second. That was all Bidemi needed. With the strength of a man who had fought for survival all his life, he grabbed the girl's wrist and yanked her forward. Her breath hitched as she stumbled into his chest. "Run," he shouted. But they weren't fast enough. Another man inside the car grabbed her ankle, pulling her back. Bidemi reacted instantly, his body twisting as he drove an elbow into the man's wrist, breaking his grip. The girl gasped, nearly falling, but Bidemi steadied her. Then, tires screeched. The driver, realizing they had lost control of the situation, slammed the door and hit the gas. The SUV sped off, leaving behind a cloud of dust and the echo of frustrated shouts. Bidemi turned to the girl. She was shaking, her brown eyes wide with shock. He could tell from her appearance that she was wealthy, someone from a world that never noticed people like him. But right now, she looked nothing like the rich girls he had seen from afar. Right now, she looked terrified. "Are you okay?" he asked, breathless. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Instead, her legs buckled. Bidemi caught her before she hit the ground. People were gathering now, murmuring, pointing, but no one had done anything while the kidnapping was happening. Typical Lagos people. He didn't have time for their whispers. He glanced around, scanning for danger. The kidnappers might come back. The police might not even take this seriously. He had to get her somewhere safe. With one arm still wrapped around her, he lowered his voice. "Come with me. You can't stay here." The girl hesitated but nodded. She had no other choice. As they disappeared into a narrow alleyway, away from prying eyes, one question burned in Bidemi's mind. Who was this girl, and why did they want her so badly? Bidemi led the trembling girl through a maze of narrow alleyways, his heart still pounding from the fight. He could feel her fear radiating off her in waves, but she clung to his arm, trusting him, at least for now. They finally stopped behind an abandoned building, hidden from the main road. He turned to her, his chest still heaving. "You safe now? But who be you? Why DMWN carry you?" The girl took a deep breath, still shaking. "My name is Ngozi," she whispered, her voice barely holding steady. "My father, he's a powerful man." Bidemi frowned. "What kind powerful man?" She hesitated. "He does things I don't agree with." Before Bidemi could press for more, a noise from the distance made him tense. Footsteps. Voices. The kidnappers weren't giving up. His instincts kicked in. He grabbed her hand again. "We no fit stay here. If DM catch us, go bad." Ngozi swallowed hard but followed him without argument. They moved swiftly through the slums, past women frying akara, children playing with old tires, and men smoking by the roadside. Nobody paid them much attention. That was the good thing about places like this, people minded their business. After what felt like an eternity, Bidemi stopped outside a wooden shack. He pulled back the curtain that served as a door. "Enter." Ngozi stepped inside, looking around. It was small, just a mattress on the floor, a wooden table with scattered plastic bottles, and a broken fan in the corner. It smelled of damp wood and sweat. Nothing like the luxury she was used to. "This way you live?" she asked. Bidemi scratched his head. "No fine, but safe." She swallowed and nodded. Thank you. He sat on the floor, watching her. Diem go still find you, you know? Ngozi's eyes darkened. I know. Demi exhaled. He had just thrown himself into something bigger than him. But one thing was clear, he couldn't walk away now. Somebody had to protect her. Ngozi sat on the mattress, hugging her knees. Her mind raced. Who sent those men? Was it her father? Or someone worse? The fear crawled up her spine, suffocating her. Demi sat across from her, arms crossed, studying her carefully. You gon' need talk. Who day after you? She hesitated. Trusting a stranger wasn't easy, but he had risked his life for her. She owed him something. My father. He's not just a businessman, she finally said. He's into things, illegal things. Demi's eyes narrowed. Like wetting? Ngozi clenched her fists. Human trafficking. The words hung in the air like a dark cloud. Demi felt a chill run through him. He had heard of rich men doing evil things, but to hear it straight from their own blood? So your papa people kidnap you? He asked. Ngozi shook her head. I don't think so. My father would never let anyone else touch me. This is someone else. Demi rubbed his chin, thinking. If it wasn't her father, then who? And why? A loud knock suddenly rattled the wooden door. Ngozi froze. Demi grabbed a rusted knife from the table and signaled for her to stay quiet. The knock came again, harder this time. Demi, open this door. The voice was deep, familiar. Demi exhaled. It was Musa, another Baban Bola, one of the few people he trusted. He opened the door slightly. Musa's tall, lanky figure filled the doorway. Sweat dripped down his forehead. Police don't they find you, Musa whispered urgently. DM say you attacked some men for road. Ngozi's breath hitched. The kidnappers had reported him? Demi cursed under his breath. This was bigger than he thought. They fit come here any moment. We gats move, Musa added. Ngozi's fingers tightened around the edge of the mattress. Where would they run to? And how long before whoever wanted her dead found her again? Demi met her eyes. You ready? She swallowed her fear and nodded. Let's go. There was no turning back now. To be continued. Demi didn't waste time. He grabbed an old backpack, stuffed a few clothes inside, and threw a faded hoodie at Ngozi. Wear this, cover your face. She obeyed quickly, pulling the hood over her hair. Musa kept watch at the door, glancing around nervously. Police fit show any moment. We need vanish now. Demi nodded. He had spent years surviving on the streets, running, hiding, fighting. But this? This was different. He wasn't just running for himself. He was running with a girl whose father was a human trafficker. If the police caught them, they wouldn't listen to his story. They never did. As they slipped into the dark alleys, Ngozi struggled to keep up. Her legs wobbled from exhaustion and fear, but she pushed forward. The streets of Lagos were ruthless, but tonight, they felt even more dangerous. They passed a group of men playing cards under a flickering streetlight. One of them looked up. Demi, wedding day? Demi forced a smile. Nothing, brothers. Just a move. The man's gaze lingered on Ngozi, suspicion creeping into his eyes. Demi tightened his grip on her wrist and walked faster. They finally reached an abandoned warehouse near the train tracks. Musa led the way inside. We go rest here till morning, he said. By then, we fit plan wetting to do. Ngozi sat on the cold floor, pulling her knees to her chest. What if they find us? She asked in a whisper. Demi sat beside her. DM no go. But even as he said it, he knew the truth. Whoever wanted her wouldn't stop until they had her. And now, they would come for him too. The warehouse was eerily silent except for the occasional rustle of rats in the corners. Ngozi hugged herself tightly, the cold seeping into her bones. The weight of everything crashed down on her. She had been kidnapped, rescued by a stranger, and was now hiding in a filthy warehouse with nowhere to go. Demi sat by the entrance, listening to the night. His senses were sharp, honed by years of survival. Musa paced back and forth, muttering under his breath. Demi, this matter don't pass wetting we fit handle o. That girl papa get power. If DM catch us, we don't finish. Ngozi's chest tightened. She knew Musa was right. Her father was not just powerful, he was ruthless. If he found out Bidemi had interfered, he wouldn't just take her back. He would make sure Bidemi disappeared. We need go far, Musa continued. Somewhere DM no go fit trace us. Bidemi shook his head. UWN make we run forever? No. We go find who day behind this kidnap first. Because he sure me say no be her papa. Ngozi's head snapped up. You think someone else is after me? Think MNA. If NA your papa, DM no go report police about me. DM go just carry you day go. But DM report say I attacked DM, meaning NA another person planned this thing. Musa sighed, rubbing his face. So wetting UWN do? Bidemi turned to Ngozi. Tell me, who fit one harm you? Any enemy? Someone we your papa do bad? Ngozi bit her lip, thinking hard. Then a name slipped from her lips like a ghost. Chief Equim. Bidemi and Musa exchanged glances. The name carried weight, one of the most feared men in Lagos, known for his deep connections to crime. Musa whistled low. If NA him, while don gas. Ngozi shivered. Chief Equim had once warned her father that their deal had gone bad. Had he decided to use her as leverage? Footsteps suddenly echoed outside. The three of them froze. Musa reached for a rusted iron rod. Bidemi's fingers tightened around his knife, and Ngozi held her breath. Then, a voice called out. Bidemi? I know say you day here. The voice was smooth, laced with danger. Ngozi's heart pounded. They had found them. The voice outside was calm, almost too calm. It sent chills down Ngozi's spine. Bidemi's jaw tightened. He recognized that voice. It belonged to Alay, a street enforcer who worked for anyone willing to pay the right price. If Alay was here, it meant they weren't just being chased. They were being hunted. Musa's grip on the iron rod tightened. He whispered, Bidemi, wetin we go do? Ngozi looked at them, fear shining in her eyes. Is there another way out? Bidemi scanned the warehouse quickly. There was a broken window on the far end, just big enough for them to squeeze through. But they had to move fast. Alay's voice came again, more menacing this time. Bidemi, I no get time for hide and seek. Bring the girl out now, and I go pretend say nothing happened. Bidemi knew better than to believe that. Without another word, he grabbed Ngozi's hand and gestured to Musa. We day move now. They darted toward the window, moving as quietly as possible. Musa climbed out first, landing on the gravel outside. Ngozi followed, her heart pounding as she squeezed through the tight space. Bidemi was about to climb out when, crash, the warehouse door burst open. Alay and two other men stormed in. Their eyes locked onto Bidemi. There you day. Alay's lips curled into a smirk. You be stubborn goat, ABI? Bidemi didn't waste time. He threw himself through the window just as one of the men lunged at him. He landed hard on the ground outside, pain shooting through his shoulder, but there was no time to stop. Run, he shouted. Ngozi and Musa took off, feet pounding against the rough ground. Bidemi pushed himself up and followed, but behind him, Alay and his men were already scrambling out of the warehouse, hot on their heels. The chase had begun. They ran like their lives depended on it, because they did. The night air was thick, carrying the distant hum of generators and the occasional bark of stray dogs. Ngozi's heart pounded, her legs felt like they were on fire, but she didn't stop. Musa was slightly ahead, his breath ragged, while Bidemi stayed behind, making sure she kept up. Alay and his men were closing in. Ngozi stole a glance back and regretted it instantly. Alay's eyes gleamed under the dim streetlights, his face twisted with determination. He wasn't just chasing them, he was enjoying the hunt. Bidemi grabbed her wrist. Turn here. They veered sharply into a narrow alleyway. The walls were high, pressing in on them. Musa jumped over a pile of wooden crates, barely missing a broken bottle. Ngozi struggled to climb, but Bidemi gave her a push, and she tumbled over. Just as Bidemi was about to follow, a hand shot out and yanked him back. Alay. Bidemi reacted on instinct. He twisted his body, throwing a punch straight into Alay's jaw. The man grunted, stumbling back, but he recovered quickly. You day craze? Alay hissed, rubbing his jaw. You and die for this girl? Bidemi's breath was heavy. I know if it let you carry him. Alay's men rushed forward, but Bidemi was ready. He ducked, kicked one in the stomach, then spun and drove his elbow into the other's ribs. They groaned, but Alay was different. He was stronger, faster. Bidemi, come on. Ngozi screamed from the other side of the crates. Alay lunged, but Bidemi grabbed a broken plank and swung it hard. The wood cracked against Alay's side. He cursed, staggering back, and that was all the time Bidemi needed. He jumped over the crates and landed beside Ngozi and Musa. Run, he yelled. This time, they didn't look back. Alay's furious roar echoed behind them, but the night swallowed them whole. They kept running, lungs burning, legs screaming for rest. The streets were mostly empty now, save for a few late-night wanderers who barely spared them a glance. The deeper they went into the maze of Lagos, the fewer streetlights there were, and soon, they were swallowed by darkness. Ngozi's breath came in sharp gasps. Where are we going? Bidemi didn't answer immediately. He was thinking fast. They couldn't go to the police, who knew how deep Ngozi's father's connections ran. And his own face wasn't exactly welcome in some places. He glanced at Musa, whose eyes darted nervously around. There's one place, Bidemi finally said. But we need to move fast. Musa didn't ask questions, just nodded. They cut through another alley, dodging trash piles and potholes, before stopping in front of a small, run-down building. The wooden door was slightly ajar. Bidemi pushed it open. Inside, a dimly lit room smelled of palm oil and burnt wood. A woman sat on a wooden stool, peeling cassava. She looked up, her face creasing with suspicion, until her eyes met Bidemi's. Bidemi? She asked, setting the knife down. Why you dey breathe like person we see ghost? Mama Tai, Abek, we need place to hide, Bidemi said quickly. Diem dey chase us. The woman's sharp eyes moved over Ngozi, then Musa. She wiped her hands on her wrapper and stood. Who be DM? Police? Area boys? Worse, Bidemi muttered. Alay. Mama Tai's face darkened. Enter inside. Now. They hurried in as she bolted the door behind them. Ngozi collapsed onto the wooden floor, exhausted, while Musa leaned against the wall, still catching his breath. You don't put yourself for whiler, Mama Tai said, lowering her voice. Alay no be person we dey forgive. Bidemi ran a hand over his face. I know. But I no fit leave her. Mama Tai sighed, looking at Ngozi again. Who she be? Before Bidemi could answer, a loud knock rattled the door. Then another. A deep voice came from outside. We no say Yuna dey inside. Make Yuna open this door, now. Ngozi's eyes widened in fear. Musa's hands balled into fists. Bidemi's heart pounded. There was no running now. The room fell silent. The only sound was the heavy knocking on the door, each bang making Ngozi flinch. Mama Tai placed a firm hand on Bidemi's shoulder, her eyes sharp. Who be that? She called out, her voice steady. A chuckle followed. Then a deep, menacing voice. You sabai who? Open this door before we break him down. Ngozi felt her stomach twist. Musa inched closer to the door, fists clenched. Bidemi was already looking around for a way out, but there was none. They were trapped. Mama Tai clicked her tongue, then turned to them. Follow me. She led them through a tiny back room stacked with baskets and sacks. In the far corner, she lifted a mat, revealing a small wooden hatch. She yanked it open, revealing a dark crawl space beneath the house. Enter, she hissed. Ngozi hesitated. The space was barely big enough for them to fit. It smelled damp, like earth and old wood. But there was no time to argue. Musa went first, then Ngozi. Bidemi was about to follow when Mama Tai grabbed his arm. I go hold him off, she whispered. No matter wetting you here, stay put. Bidemi's chest tightened. Mama Tai. Shish, she shoved him inside and shut the hatch just as the front door burst open. The space was pitch black. Ngozi covered her mouth to silence her breathing. Musa was dead quiet beside her. Above them, heavy boots stomped into the room. Where DM day? Alay's voice was close. Mama Tai didn't miss a beat. You burst my door for wetting, she snapped. Yuna think say I go hide anybody for Yuna? A sharp slap rang out. Ngozi bit her lip to keep from gasping. Rage burned in Bidemi's chest, but he forced himself to stay still. Woman, No use your mouth put yourself for trouble, Alay growled. Where dm day? Silence. Then Mama Tai Tai spat. I know no wetting you day talk. Now come it for my house. Alay's men ransacked the room, knocking over baskets, kicking over stools. The hatch was just above them. One wrong move, and they were dead. Then, Alay spoke again, his voice low and deadly. Yuna no go fit run forever. Another pause. Then heavy footsteps. The front door slammed shut. They were gone. But for how long? The room above them stayed quiet for a long time. Nobody moved. Nobody even breathed too loudly. Ngozi's legs were cramping, but she didn't dare shift. The sound of Mama Tai Tai getting slapped still rang in her ears. Baidemi clenched his fists so tightly that his nails dug into his palms. Musa sat stiff beside him, listening. Minutes passed. Then, a soft knock. 3 taps, a pause, then 2 more. Baidemi recognized it instantly. It was Mama Tai Tai's signal. He hesitated, still wary, but she knocked again. 3 taps, a pause, 2 more. Slowly, he reached up and pushed the hatch open. Faint candlelight spilled into the crawlspace. Mama Tai Tai stood there, one hand on her cheek where a red mark was already forming. Her eyes held a silent warning. Come out, she whispered. But quick. They climbed out, stretching stiff limbs. Ngozi grabbed Mama Tai Tai's hands, her eyes full of guilt. I'm sorry. Mama Tai Tai shook her head. No be your fault, Pekin. But Yuna need to come it now. Musa rubbed his head, exhaling sharply. Where we go? Baidemi already had an idea. I sabai one place. Mama Tai Tai's eyes flickered with doubt, but she nodded. Make Yuna no look back. If DM catch Yuna again, it on finish. Baidemi grabbed Ngozi's hand. Musa followed close behind. They slipped out through the back, moving through narrow alleys where the streetlights barely reached. Their shadows stretched and twisted against the walls. A stray dog barked somewhere in the distance. Ngozi kept glancing over her shoulder. What if they come back? They go, Baidemi muttered, tightening his grip. Alay no day let matter rest. He quickened his pace. They had to get to safety before dawn. Before Alay found them again. They moved like shadows through the dark alleys, every step measured, every breath controlled. The city was never truly silent, but to Ngozi, the distant sounds of honking cars and muffled voices felt unreal. Baidemi led the way, his grip firm around Ngozi's wrist. Musa stayed close behind, his eyes darting around like a cornered animal. They had no idea where Baidemi was taking them, but he moved with purpose, his instincts sharp. Finally, they reached a small, rusted gate tucked between 2 crumbling buildings. Baidemi knocked once, then twice, then 3 quick taps. A pause. Then another single knock. The gate creaked open slightly. A single eye peered through the gap. Then, recognition. Baidemi, a rough voice whispered. Baidemi nodded. Open 'em. Urgent. The gate swung wider, and they hurried inside. The man shut it quickly behind them, scanning the alley before bolting it shut. Ngozi looked around. They were in a narrow compound with old cars parked haphazardly. A weak bulb flickered above, casting long, eerie shadows. The man who let them in, a short, wiry guy with deep scars on his arms, eyed Ngozi suspiciously. Who be she? He asked, jerking his chin at her. No worry, Okchukwa, Baidemi said. A long story. We need to lay low. Okchukwa scratched his head. Baidemi, you don't enter Weiler again? Musa scoffed. No be Weiler again. A Weiler proper. If DM catch us, he don't finish. Okchukwa whistled low. Alay? Baidemi nodded grimly. Him boys they find us. Okchukwa sucked his teeth. Yuna get less than 1 hour to rest. If Alay here say Yuna day here, my own don't finish too. Ngozi swallowed hard. She had never felt this powerless before. All her life, she had been protected, shielded by her father's wealth. But here, in the shadows of Lagos, money meant nothing. Only survival mattered. She turned to Baidemi. What's the plan? Baidemi exhaled slowly. We go need leave Lagos. Tonight. Musa's eyes widened. Leave Lagos? Go where? Baidemi's face was unreadable. Somewhere Alay no go ever think say we fit go. Ngozi's heart pounded. Whatever he had in mind, it was risky. And there was no turning back now. The night air was thick with tension as they huddled inside the dimly lit room. Okchukwa's safe house was nothing more than a tiny, windowless space with a worn-out mattress and the strong scent of kerosene lingering in the air. Ngozi sat on the floor, her arms wrapped around her knees. She had never been in a place like this before, where fear was real, where the walls felt like they were closing in. Baidemi paced, his mind working fast. He knew Alay's network was vast. If they stayed in Lagos, it was only a matter of time before they were found. The city was no longer safe. Musa, sitting by the door, rubbed his hands over his face. Baidemi, this your plan, you sure so? You come at Lagos just like that? You think say dim no go find us? We no get choice, Musa, Baidemi replied, his voice low but firm. We fit day dodge for some days, but he go reach time we no go fit run again. We gats leave before dem close road for us. Ngozi looked up, her eyes filled with uncertainty. Leave to where? Baidemi exhaled, crouching in front of her. I get one brother for Ondu. He fit help. He no be big man, but he go give us small cover till we fit arrange better plan. Okchukwa, who had been silent all along, finally spoke. If Una comet, Una gats move now. Before morning, Alay boys go don flood everywhere. Ngozi's heart pounded. She had never run from anything in her life. But tonight, she had no choice. How we go take Waka? Musa asked. Okchukwa pulled out a set of clothes from a bag in the corner. Make Una change first. If DM see Una like this, DM go sabai. Blend with the street. I go arrange something. Baidemi took the clothes, tossing a set to Ngozi and Musa. We move in 10 minutes. No looking back. As Ngozi held the rough fabric in her hands, she realized that her old life was slipping away. Everything she knew was gone. All that mattered now was survival. And the night was just beginning. The rain had started to drizzle as they stepped out of the safe house. The streets were still alive, Lagos never truly slept. Horns blared in the distance, and the smell of roasted corn mixed with the damp air. Ngozi, now dressed in oversized jeans and a faded hoodie, kept her head low. Her heart pounded so loudly she thought everyone could hear it. Baidemi led the way, his steps sure but cautious. Musa stayed close behind, scanning their surroundings. We go Waka reach under bridge, from there, I go link person we fit carry us comet, Okchukwa whispered, his voice barely audible above the hum of the night. They weaved through the maze of streets, avoiding main roads. At every turn, Ngozi felt eyes on her. Was it paranoia, or were Alay's men already searching? Suddenly, Musa tensed. Baidemi, I know like this place. E2 open. Baidemi's jaw tightened. He had sensed it too. A group of young men leaned against a wall up ahead, their faces hidden in the shadows. We no get choice. We go pass fast, no look DM face, Baidemi muttered. As they moved forward, one of the men shifted, blocking their path. Oga, Una day go where? His voice was casual, but his eyes were sharp. He scanned Ngozi before his lips curled into a smirk. This babe looked familiar. Ngozi's stomach twisted. Had she been recognized? Baidemi stepped forward, his tone calm but firm. We day go our way, Abeg. We no find Wala. Another man chuckled. For Lagos? Wala day find person, no be person day find Wala. Ngozi's pulse raced. She felt Musa stiffen beside her. She could tell they were outnumbered. If they fought, it would be bad. If they ran, it might be worse. Then, out of nowhere, a deep voice boomed from behind them. Oya clear road. A man in a security uniform strode toward them, his presence commanding. The group hesitated before slowly stepping aside. Baidemi wasted no time. He grabbed Ngozi's wrist and pulled her forward, Musa close behind. When they finally turned a corner, out of sight, Ngozi exhaled shakily. Who was that? Baidemi shook his head. I no, but we no go wait to find out. We gats move, now. The night was far from over. The rain had stopped, but the air was still thick with tension. Ngozi's breath came in quick gasps as they moved deeper into the narrow alleys. The city felt different at night, darker, more dangerous. Baidemi's grip on her wrist was firm but not forceful. He knew they couldn't afford to slow down. Whoever that security man was, he had given them a small window to escape, and he wasn't about to waste it. Musa tapped Baidemi's shoulder. Where exactly we dey go like this? Okchukwa say make we meet one driver we fit carry us enter Ibadan. If we fit reach there, he go hard for LA boys to track us. Ngozi swallowed. Are you sure about this? What if they find us before we even leave Lagos? Baidemi turned to her, his expression serious. UWN stay make DM catch you? She shook her head immediately. Then trust me. We no go make him easy for them. They kept moving, sticking to the shadows. The further they went, the fewer people they saw. Soon, they reached an old taxi parked by a broken fence. A man leaned against it, smoking a cigarette. He was tall, with tribal marks running down both cheeks. His eyes, sharp like a hawk's, studied them as they approached. And you be the driver? Baidemi asked cautiously. The man exhaled a cloud of smoke before nodding. Okchukwa don tell me. But Wala don day. Baidemi tensed. Which kind Wala? DM don block some roads. DM day search motor we day come at Lagos. The driver glanced at Ngozi. I no go lie, your matter don big. If DM see you, and finish be that. Ngozi felt her stomach drop. So what do we do? The driver flicked his cigarette away and smirked. We go use another way. But he go cost Una. He stretched out his palm. 50,000. Musa scoffed. 50 wetting? No be 10 we discussed before. The driver chuckled. My brother, risk don't increase. Either you pay, or Unawaka go find another way. Ngozi's hands clenched into fists. The money wasn't the issue, she had plenty before, but now, she had nothing. Her father's wealth couldn't save her here. Baidemi reached into his pocket and brought out a crumpled bundle of cash. Take. No reach 50, but wetting we get. The driver counted it, then clicked his tongue. Because I like Una face. Enter motor. We no get time. As Ngozi slid into the back seat, her heart pounded. They were one step closer to escaping, but something in her gut told her this was far from over. The taxi moved through the dimly lit streets of Lagos, its tires humming softly against the asphalt. Ngozi sat in the back seat, her hands tightly clasped together. Baidemi was beside her, his eyes darting between the road and the side mirrors. Musa sat in the front, his foot tapping nervously against the floor of the car. The driver, who introduced himself as Adebayo, kept his gaze on the road. I no go lie, no go easy. But I sabi shortcuts we fit help us avoid Wala. Ngozi swallowed hard. She had spent her entire life being driven around in luxury cars, never once imagining she would be hiding in the back of an old taxi, running for her life. Adebayo took a sharp turn into a narrow street, lined with abandoned warehouses. The air smelled damp, the walls covered in peeling paint and faded graffiti. The silence was unsettling. Baidemi shifted in his seat. You sure say this road day safe? Adebayo scoffed. Safe? For Lagos? My brother, a god day protect person. Musa turned around to face Ngozi. You day okay? Ngozi nodded slightly, but her heart was still racing. She couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. Suddenly, Adebayo cursed under his breath and slowed down. Up ahead, a group of men stood across the road. Their figures were barely visible under the flickering streetlights. Baidemi sat up straight. Who be those ones? Adebayo tightened his grip on the steering wheel. I no, but he no look friendly. Musa pulled out a small knife from his pocket, his jaw tightening. If dim, we no fit turn back. Adebayo reversed slightly, but another car suddenly appeared behind them, blocking their exit. Ngozi's stomach dropped. It was an ambush. One of the men stepped forward, knocking on the hood of the taxi. He was tall, bald, and had a long scar running from his temple to his jaw. His eyes locked onto Ngozi through the windshield, and a wicked smile spread across his face. Baidemi clenched his fists. He had fought off 2 men before, but this was different. This time, they were outnumbered, and the enemy was ready. The scar-faced man stepped closer and spoke in a deep, rough voice. Una don't go far enough. Madam, time to go home. Ngozi shook her head violently. No. I'm not going anywhere with you. Baidemi's muscles tensed. He had promised himself that he wouldn't let them take her. But right now, survival seemed impossible. Adebayo exhaled sharply. Hold tight. If we go down fighting. The men started moving toward them, weapons glinting under the streetlights. And then, all hell broke loose. Tell us where you are watching from and the time your watch says right now in the comment section. We would love to hear from you, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification. New series are coming very soon. Subscribe, feel free to support us by joining Zura Premium. Thanks.